Hello, everybody. Welcome to the after church tea time. We just watched the sermon on how to come into your divine shine. And another word is glow, right? How do you glow spiritually? So I'm joined here by other unionists. Um, I'm Lisi, and I'm joined by Caroline and Rachel. So we're delighted to talk about the sermon today. I really learned a lot from it, having watched it to, with all of the other people presenting as well. So um, we're going to be talking about some of the concepts that were brought up by the whole Sunday service, and then go deeper. And so if you want to join in the chat, please comment under this video here in the Unionism Spiritual Discussion Group. So yeah, I wanted to turn it over to Caroline. Um, what were some of your takeaways?
Yeah, so a lot. I was just saying earlier, I'm so delighted that God had me join this after church tea time because there's a lot that I'm working through about bodies and nourishment and things. As I am pregnant, and so my little baby's teaching me a lot of things about my body. And what I took from this sermon, I love the sermon. I loved the idea. I think we often get the messaging that, yeah, you got to starve yourself, you got to deprive yourself, you got to suffer in order to be beautiful. And woof, that is a tough thing to hold. It doesn't work. And I loved that the message is no, you have to nourish yourself in all sorts of ways, not just food, spiritually, physically, play, all these beautiful things. So I loved that. Um, yeah, just the idea. I took a couple notes. Let's see. I love also the emphasis that your body is intelligent. Like your body knows what it needs. And so often we have learned to just ignore what our body's telling us. And so, choosing to, okay, we're gonna listen here. We're gonna deeply listen and give ourselves what we need. That's beautiful. Love that. Do you have any thoughts, Rachel? What did you take away?
Yeah, well, I love what you said. Yeah, one piece from the sermon that stuck out to me was when Lisi said when you were trying to get to the ideal, what society was telling you was the ideal, and you was never satisfied with the results. And yeah, I think that's the way it's geared up. Society, consumer culture doesn't want you to be satisfied because then they can tell you, well, buy this product and you have what you desire, buy this product and you're going to be happy. Um, I mean, I don't want to get into that too deeply right now. The bit that came to me was when you said that you were never satisfied. It reflected a pattern that I'm healing at the moment, not so much about the physical, but just a general pattern of finding fault with everything, or always finding something about yourself to find fault with. And it could be about the body, it could be about something else. Um, so we have to be compassionate with ourselves, and we have to be gentle with ourselves, be kind to ourselves, because berating yourself and beating yourself up because you don't think you're good enough in this area, in that area, that really doesn't help anyone at all. Mm. So wherever you're at, in whatever area of life you're at, just go at your own pace, take it steady, and do what feels good. And there was a TFAS class where Jeff was saying, well, if you're doing yoga, even though you hate it, so you can have the yoga body to attract you to inflame, mic drop, it's not actually going to work. Doing what feels good is what's going to work. And you're not doing it to attract you to inflame. Don't fall into that trap. You're doing it for yourself because it feels good. And then everything else will fall into place. Just be true to yourself, be yourself, do what brings you joy. If you do something for a while that makes you happy and then you're not feeling it anymore, don't make yourself continue. So go in another direction. You've got to follow your heart, honor your heart in these situations. And yeah, so following your heart and doing what feels good, that is all to do with healing the relationship you have with your body. However that looks for you, I'm also healing very deeply about my relationship with myself. And obviously the physical side is a part of it. I mean, that's an area where I'm pretty strong. There's other areas, more the emotional areas, where I need to put a little bit more work in. But that's okay. Everybody's journey is unique. Everybody's going to be weak in some places and stronger in others. So just go. I say just go at your own pace. And it's not about just being thin, because you can be thin and very unhealthy. You can be a little bit larger and be very fit and very healthy. Yeah, don't fall into that consumer culture trap where they say, oh yeah, get the ideal body and you'll have all your desires, you won't have any more problems, everything you want will come to you. That's a lie as well. I think Shaleia talked about how the message she got from society was like, just get the perfect body and you'll have love. And she felt like that was too difficult or unattainable, so she couldn't have love. But the truth is, if you do get the ideal body, you still won't get love from the outside. So if you attain that and you still don't find the happiness that you desire, it might be easy to feel like you've been deceived or cheated in some way. But no, you've got to cultivate the happiness within.
Yeah.
And then your body will shift to what's natural and ideal for you. And that's what's going to feel best for you. That's how you're going to feel the best in yourself. And that's when you're going to be at your most attractive and your most radiant.
Yeah. There was a beautiful Jeff and Shaleia class, live class, where Jeff was working with someone who was struggling with this. And he's like, can a disabled person be beautiful? And the person was like, yeah. She's like, can a very old person be beautiful? She's like, yeah. Can a very young person be beautiful? Yeah. Can this person be beautiful? Yeah. Can you be beautiful? And she had to sit with it for a second. She's like, okay, got it. Yeah, I can be beautiful too. It's not about the physical appearance. It's not about the outside. Like Lisi was saying in the sermon, it's about an energy within. I'll say from my own experience, I have had a very thin body my entire life. And this is what most women would die for. They want this very thin body. And I always wanted the opposite. I always wanted curves. And it's wild to me that it doesn't matter what it is, what the physical thing is. It's that dissatisfaction with this unattainable thing, or dissatisfaction with our own perfection, our own innate perfection, is really what the thing to heal through.
Yeah, I like what you shared. And that's interesting because it relates to what Neelam shared in her intro, where she was actually, I think if I heard her correctly, she was like a physical trainer, like a coach, and coached people, especially women, to like get really fit and have these muscular bodies and thin and toned bodies. And I really felt what she shared was really powerful in that, like, people, she was like physically fit, but people were going up and they're like, are you okay? Because they could feel her energy. And we were all energy. And when we're not nourishing ourselves and not giving ourselves what we need, we can't give to others, really, especially for the feminine, because we receive, and yeah, I like what you shared, Caroline. And I experienced that too. Like, no matter how much I weighed or how I looked, I used to dye my hair really blonde because I thought it, was more pleasing to others, not because I actually liked it. And it was like, it created like a a negative vortex or like a black hole energy of feeling like I didn't have anything, like lack. And so that is what I brought to the world, is that energy of lack and not enough. Um and so I really, I mean, these teachings are quite radical compared to what's being taught in the world about beauty and about radiance, because you take it one step at a time. And um like I like that class too, Carolyn, where Jeff and Shaleia were talking about beauty. They talk a lot in their classes about health and wellness too. Like what does that actually mean, and how do you attain it in a sustainable way? So I think, we looks aside, then we talk about health, right? And we all want to be fit and healthy so that we can live our best lives and feel really good in our bodies, and be limber and be able to like take hikes when we want to, and get out of bed and not feel sleepy. And um if you're not having a good relationship with your health, then you can't really give, like you can't serve very well. And so even that, maybe because of this lack mentality, maybe we developed some bad habits, like, eating a bunch of chocolate or popcorn all the time, um, in addition to whatever meals were there, because that, maybe there was a emotional eating component going on. But then what do you do with that? In my experience, and from what I've read in psychology articles, and from what Jeff and Shalia shared, you can't just cold turkey something like that sustainably. I mean, maybe very rarely someone may have, been able to go cold turkey forever. But in my personal experience, that's very challenging. Every time I tried to um, jump into another paradigm, I would like fall on my butt, because it was like I had to sustain it. And then what I realized recently, the way that I sustain it, not only do I go incrementally through something, but support. So I work with my coach weekly. There's also health and wellness coaching that can help you to cultivate these patterns. You don't have to do it alone. And you really do need support to live your best life, because some of these patterns come from lifetimes ago or childhood, like decades, right? So I really have a lot to say about this. I could like give another sermon in this after church tea time, but yeah, this is for us to talk about it. And I'm just curious, like, how has your life changed as a result of the teachings of union in your physical, in your way, in the way you're relating to your physical body?
Well, I mean, yeah, the teachings have improved absolutely everything in every area. When it comes to the physical, maybe the difference hasn't been so noticeable as in other areas, because this is one area where I'm more healed. Um, but you were talking about nourishment, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because yeah, spiritual nourishment. A few weeks ago, I remember you mentioned you were rewatching the sermons, and after you said that, I watched them all again myself, and it was fabulous. And I made a note of all the ones I want to go and listen to again very quickly. Yeah, spiritual nourishment as well as physical and emotional. Yeah, that's the difference the teachings have made. I was always very well fed as a kid, but it's in the area of emotions and spirituality where I needed to give myself more attention and more nourishment. And so it's more holistic now, because you can fall into the trap of just focusing on one area and neglecting the others, especially if that's a pattern you've had from childhood. But this teaches it teaches to be holistic. It teaches consistency. It teaches balance. no stone is left unturned. You really have to bring love to all parts of yourself, even the bits that got stuffed down and forgotten, all the really deep places. We have to go to all those places and bring love and nourishment, or love in the form of nourishment, nourishment in the form of love, whatever's needed. So yeah, so it really does heal your entire being.
Well said. Yeah. I find that it's just using the mirror exercise every day. I can't not notice what's going on with me. Like I used to be able to just sort of cut it off and be focused on something else, but now it's painful if I'm not paying attention. I physically will feel it in my heart, like something is off. And so that's been a huge gift. It's been a much needed gift for me, teachings of union. Also, just being with my twin. I mean, we are two different body types. He's a lot bigger than I am. And he is way more mastered in food, in making food. He loves to cook. And it's delightful. He cooks all the time. And it is such nourishment on a lot of levels for me. I grew up with a bit of neglect going on as a kid. So it's really teaching me a lot. And also we're sort of balancing each other out. When we first met, I was probably underweight, he was probably overweight. And now we're kind of balancing. Just having a stable home, having a routine, being in our union, healing through upsets, things are leveling up a bit and becoming more stable and calm.
Your twin flame's name is also Josh, correct?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he likes to cook like my Josh likes to cook too. That's so funny.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Clearly a Josh thing,
I guess so. I guess so.
just joshing.
Yeah. There you go.
Lol.
Yeah. Also say with the baby, like I have to eat more than I normally do. And it's such an interesting exercise for me because usually I'm like, I'm good after just a little bit. No, I am feeling more hungry than I normally am. And so more protein is going in my body. I have to drink more water. You know, there's just more happening. And it's a really good exercise for me. Also, just like I was telling Elise earlier, I'm bigger than I've ever been. And I'm enjoying being able, I feel like as a woman, I got a lot of subconscious messaging about being small. Like you must stay small and keep contained in your space. And now that I am, I have this baby, I have a big old belly, I'm taking up more space. And I'm finding it so liberating. Like, oh, I'm allowed to take up space. This is great. It feels very feminine and fun.
That's so cool. We're really
Yeah.
happy about for you guys and about your baby coming and can't wait to meet her.
Thanks.
I was like, I actually, when you were talking about, you mentioned briefly like about your past and like there's like a lack thing going on. In my childhood, I remember, my mom did her best to nourish me and my sister, but there wasn't there was like a lack of something in the food that she prepared that were like ready-made meals. She was going through college and my dad worked, and so a lot of ramen, oodles of noodles, a lot of like pigs in a blanket, like those sorts of meals were like staples, grilled cheese, things like that, which as a kid I enjoyed, but then when I look back, I'm like, gosh, like there was a lot missing. And then I think about my mom, like this is no dissing on my mom, but her mother, my mom lost her dad when she was 8. And so her mother in the 50s went out to work, and my mom was kind of charged with taking care of her 4 brothers and sisters and didn't get much instruction, didn't get much nourishment. And so when I joined Divine Dish, it healed that missing piece, that place where, I went to dinner at friends' houses and their grandma had cooked this elaborate meal with like different plates on the table, and you could serve yourself from those, abundantly overflowing, warm, delicious umami meals, right? And it was like I finally understood what it meant to like have enough. I remember feeling hungry a lot as a kid, and I was scrawny. I was very, very tiny, scrawny kid. Um, a divine dish is just so comprehensive and wonderful. And I just want to show you, like, I printed out this is I put this together myself because you can print out the recipes. And as I mentioned, like I'm gonna just share my screen here. I hope this is okay. This is the Divine Dish website, and they've got a free sample menu, so you can try it, and it's really wonderful. The food is it's more than enough for you. It's more than enough. You don't have to eat every single thing, but just like you, Caroline, like I didn't, as I mentioned in the sermon, I didn't feel hungry at breakfast because my body got so used to not having the nourishment that it kind of shut down its desire for it. So I just, in the beginning, it was a little challenging to eat breakfast. I started with, like, an egg and cheese sandwich, or cereal with fruit, and or yogurt with fruit. And I just started there, and I started, I don't eat too many calories. I can change up my portion sizes with Divine Dish to, like, be appropriate for me. But once I started eating breakfast, I was able to, like, work out more. I lost weight when I ate more. How? So, and I feel better. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that I feel better and I have energy to give. I can stay more present. My body is not um screaming at me for attention because I wasn't giving it enough attention. Um, and yeah, like what you said, Caroline, about being present and sensitive, I'm very much more sensitive now to energy, to my body, not only physical signals, but emotional signals too. And like if I neglect myself, then that doesn't feel good. So I can't do that anymore. Like literally can't do it anymore, because it's like the princess and the pea. Like I'm very sensitive to those energies now, and I think that's a good thing.
Totally, totally. I love too that as we get attuned to just sort of a vibration of love, um, I know Jeff and Shaleia talk about this a lot of it happens in the food too. Like eating food made with love, you can taste it. There is a difference. You are noticing, and I know Divine Dish is all about this. Um, like if you are making your food with love, when you eat it, you're bringing that into your body. That's nourishment as well. I have taken.
100%.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that concept. And most of us are starving because we're eating fast food or we're eating crap that's not made with love. That's part of it too.
Yeah, I remember when I was subscribed to Divine Dish for like 6 months, and I made this really amazing it was like three different things. It was a starch, a vegetable, and a meat. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I had gone through all of the steps, from picking out my ingredients, to preparing the ingredients, to cooking the ingredients, to plating the ingredients. And when it was all done, I sat down with this beautiful plate of love, and I cried, because it was like I felt my own love in a physical way. Like I know that, in the mirror exercise in step 4, you give yourself the love that you need, but this was just, it was another level. Like I was loving myself through food, and I felt so nourished and supported that it's an experience I can't hardly put to words until you try it. So,
Totally, totally. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Divine Dish, it's an entire process in itself, starting from buying the food, preparing it, cooking it, and finally eating it. It's self-love through food. It makes people upheave every time they have a meal. It's that powerful. Although, firstly, I thought the portion sizes weren't big enough. Well, maybe that's just me. But that brings
In
us on.
Divine Dish,
Mhm.
um, Yeah, that's they're quite large, so you might want to talk to Chef Jason about it because perhaps also there may be some you can switch the measurements from metric to uh what's the other non-metric.
There'll be flexibility.
Yeah.
There's plenty of flexibility in it to meet everybody's individual needs. Um, yeah, and you also mentioned fasting because it didn't really appeal to you. No, me neither. But I have a friend that does all the time. He does 3 weeks in one go. But then yeah, I couldn't imagine that. But then he's got autoimmune disease, and fasting actually helps with the symptoms. But I'm always telling him to eat some food.
Yeah, I'm not like completely opposed to it. I think it can work for some people, but it didn't doing anything externally uh won't really work unless you address the inner root. Like
Mm.
what is really going on? And for me, it was like across the board, I wasn't nourishing myself enough spiritually, physically, emotionally, with play, like everything. And I had tried intermittent fasting in in the past.
Mm.
I think I did it for the wrong reasons and it didn't stick. But I have heard that too, but it's just for me, it I can't live a balanced life like that for me. I felt unbalanced. I had to like take from one area to give to another, and that didn't feel good to me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you got to do what feels good to you. I don't really believe in the fatty diets because they're here one day and gone the next and replaced by another one. Um, Now, if you give yourself what you need, nourishment wise, then you will shift to to your divine self, or you'll radiate your divine self. So,
Yeah. I have a slightly different thing to share, but it's related. Which was I know the spiritual summit is coming up, and I know I think is today the last day or was yesterday the last day to get tickets?
It was yesterday
Yesterday, okay.
at
So
the early bird price.
at the early bird price, okay. So there's still there will be another chance. I highly recommend everybody sign up, go to the thing. And I was going to share because last time I went to a summit of sorts, workshop with TFU, was in Sedona, and I remember the first day having a really big body awareness and aha, which was first of all seeing everybody in person for the first time was magical and interesting and odd because I've been seeing everyone like on Zoom for years and I hadn't met anyone in person. So that's always kind of a funny thing. It's like, oh, you're taller than I thought you were. Uh, But what I got also was just feeling the energy. The first day kind of felt a little funky because we were all like vibing up and feeling each other's energy, and it was a little squirrely. Um, and I remember feeling, I don't know, just getting a sense of everybody's massive divine energies and how it was almost hilarious that we were in a tiny body. It was almost like here's this beautiful, magnificent being in a tiny body. Um, and I felt like it was probably just me, but I kind of felt like everybody was having a little bit of upset about that. And it was
I
comforting to
was.
me. Yeah. And it was comforting to me of like, oh, it's not just me that feels this. All right, got it. It's kind of a collective thing. And we are these beautiful divine beings. And our bodies, as the conference went on, I felt more at ease in my body. I even went hiking one day and it was like this big aha of like, yes, my body can do things I didn't know it could do. Yes. Um, but it was a huge aha of like, oh, this is part of our journey of being on this planet, of being in this time and space, is that we have these bodies that are our vessels, our chariots. I always love the image of a horse, like it's the horse that carries our spirit and not separate from us. It's part of us.
Yeah. Amen
And we
to
get to
that.
nourish that horse.
Exactly. I think there's a kind of a common socio-spiritual teaching about the body being separate from the soul. And I've heard people refer to the body as a meat sack. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's a divine design. Your body was designed divinely. Um, and it's an extension of who you are. It's an extension. Your soul is associated with your body. Like your body isn't the source of your soul, but it's not separate from who you are too. And so I think Jeff and Shaleia spoke to this. I can't remember where or when, but they talked about how we doing the spiritual work, doing the inner work, we're very inner and less outer. Like we're in the higher chakras. And focusing on your physical body is very much like aligning your lower chakras, like being rooted here on earth. And yeah, actually at the Sedona workshop, I was going through chemotherapy. I was wearing a wig. I looked really puffy, but I went anyway. And it was really, at first I was self-conscious, but then I was like, I'm just glad to be here. Um, having this experience. And it was, I remember after the first session, we went into the side room where there were all of these like fruits and cookies and chocolates and drinks and things like that, and how like hungry we were because we had just received a lot of spiritual downloads and vibed up. And I remember when I first started watching Twin Flame Ascension School, I was famished like all the time because when you're doing deep inner work, you're going through upheaval, you're moving a lot of energy. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't look at the science behind that, but it was very noticeable that I was like very hungry after doing, so much spiritual inner work and vibrating higher and higher. And I didn't seem to gain weight from it. So it was necessary, feeding yourself. It's really necessary.
Totally, 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 totally. I want to jump in on this because I learned the hard way that about grounding and how necessary nourishing those lower chakras is. Before I even found this work, before I found Teachings of Union, I was diving into A Course in Miracles, which is wonderful. But I was so undernourished in all different levels, physically, spiritually, all sorts of things, that I ended up in the hospital because it was such intense spiritual downloads and I had nothing to contain it. I wasn't my physical body was not nourished enough to be able to handle it essentially. Um, and so after the hospital, I spent a lot of time learning how to ground, and this work is amazing for doing that. Feeling into your heart, feeling your feelings, doing the mirror exercise. Woo, is it grounding? And physically eating things. Like I had a friend who was a body healer, and she's like, "You need a hamburger right now. Like, let's ground. We are gonna be really earthy right now." So,
I heard that somebody told me this, that meat, like red meat, is
mm,
very grounding. And if you think about it, the cows or goats or sheep, even I guess pigs, eat from the ground. Like they eat the grass. I know that in our community we have a lot of people who are vegetarian or vegan, and I think, do you, right? But I'm just sharing what I learned. Like the meat is very grounding. Um, there's a whole teaching in the east side of the world. The Eastern cultures have an association with food and energy. So you've got like hot or cold foods. For example, watermelon is considered a cold food. Mango is considered a hot food. It's an energy, not actual temperature. Fish cold, I think chicken cold, beef hot, those sorts of energies. So there's a world of things to study if you're into that sort of thing, into Chinese. It's not just limited to China, it's, Eastern
yeah,
Asian.
right. Ayurvedic medicine
Mhm,
gets
that
really
too.
into that. Yeah. Cool.
Well, I feel like we're maybe getting close to feeling complete. I don't think there's any comments. I think nice to see everybody there. Do any of you feel like sharing anything, closing statements before we finish up?
I'm feeling pretty complete myself.
Yeah, just feeling grateful. And one image with the horse analogy that I love is horses, the actual animal, are in the wild, they are naturally just prey. Like their main defense is being able to run away. And it's amazing to me that if you work with a horse and you love and nourish a horse and learn to trust each other, that a horse, this naturally skittish, animal who thinks he's prey all the time, will lead you into battle. Like I think it's a beautiful analogy with our bodies of like if we nourish and love our bodies and really befriend and understand that they are one with us, that we're unstoppable. It's a reflection of our divine selves.
Amen to that. Yeah, your body is not your enemy. Your body
Mhm.
can partner with you in incredible ways once you surrender to loving your body. And I
Mhm.
like that analogy with the horse. It's a really good image. I love that.
Cool.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm glad you made it here. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Church of Union channel if you're watching on YouTube. And visit unionism.org if you'd like to take part in the community, if you'd like to donate to our cause, if you would like to get more information about the Spiritual Life Summit this summer. It's going to be fantastic. Lots of good food and lots of great panel discussions, and art exhibit by our guru Shaleia, and a twin flame wedding. So I hope you guys can come. Thank you so much, and we love you. See you soon.